Okay, everybody, hello. Welcome to the Fumble Crown Sands quarter-final. I'm Throwek.
And I'm Purple Chest.
And we are looking at Morehouse and his Iowa Hawkorks versus the Ultimate Mr. Men, coached by PeteW, the infamous PeteW. So I thought what we do first, PC, is we'll have a look at, let's have a look at the Orcs first, Morehouse's Orcs.
Well, what's left of Morehouse's Orcs, of course, because the first big news is those two Black Orc blockers that are missing this game. Both block guards stand firm and both out. So
it's a
his
biggie.
front line's not going to be as strong as he's used to.
No, it's a biggie, that one. It's a biggie. It's yeah, well, I watched them go down in the last game, and it's got to be tough for him because, like you say, that front line. What's he going to do there? What's he going to do?
Well, his front line already lacked Mighty Blow. None of his Black Orcs had that. But now he lacks the strength and the guard and the stand firm. He's still got one block guard, stand firm, Black Orc. But the other one that's left is only got blocks. So it's just not reliable, that strength that Orcs usually have to hold the LOS.
It will be down really to his, he's got a couple of superstar blitzers there that will hopefully take on the game. And
yeah, the blitzers are the bread and butter of this team. We've got a frenzy with diving tackle and stand firm and blodge. That's a nightmare. We've got one with AV10 because of a prize it won in the last major, because this is a major winning team.
Yeah.
That's also got plus AG, plus movement, blodge, and tackle, so that's a nightmare. Then there's one that has grab because of another magical item and another plus AG with tackle, mighty bow, blodge, and sure hands. That's the ball handler, does most of the scoring. That's a nightmare. And then the final one is a frenzied juggernaut. So he can even take on those annoying cancelling skills. He's got 4 awesome blitzers.
And let's hope they can stay in the game long enough to maybe cause a bit of damage.
If there's anything not there, he is lacking a plus strength player. So with the two Black Orcs out as well, he's really low on strength for a team this big.
And you've got two dirty player linemen, and you've also got a dirty player goblin. So hopefully they might come into play a little bit within the game.
We're definitely going to see some bribes, and we're definitely going to see some fouling.
Yeah, we all love a good foul. We all love a good boot to the face.
But we've missed the most important part of those Orcs, which is there's 2 throwers. Now, I don't know why, you don't know why, and nobody knows why.
Absolutely.
The exact number of Orcs throwers an Orc team needs is 0 or possibly 1. If it's 1, you get the leader caddy.
Yeah, I tend to take 1 with block and leader.
But it all depends how they develop.
Yeah. It all depends how your team develops. I have an Orc team with a lineman that's AG4 with sure hands and block, so that suits me quite nicely. But it all depends, doesn't it, how it develops? But
he's got 2 plus AG blitzers. He doesn't need them for ball handling. One is a pure thrower with pass, kickoff, return, accurate, safe throw, and nerves of steel. Hasn't even got block.
I wonder if the Hail Mary pass is just for desperate times, possibly.
Well, he did reveal last night in the commentary he's never used that skill at all, ever. So if we see that, that's a first for him tonight. And if we see a Hail Mary pass, then things are going badly wrong, because that is not a good skill.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Let's look at something prettier. Let's look at
let's have a look at the Ultimate Mr. Man. Now, I am still on the team.
Yeah, I died a long time ago, and he abused me by using me mainly to foul things. What can you say about these? If you don't look at the 4 blitzers, it's a very ordinary little dark elf.
I think you've got those stat freaks. Well, multiple stat freaks with 3 stats each in some cases. It's
they're absurd. They are they're the sort of thing you only see on Fumble, and you only see people like PeteW rolling. I mean, you've got a strength 5 that's got leap as well. You've got a double plus movement. That's got leap and sidestep and blodge. You've got an AG6 that's also plus move. And then just to round it out, an AG5 with guard, sidestep, and blodge. Those are 4 evil blitzers. There is nothing they can't do. If they stay on the pitch, they'll win the game.
Let's hope. Let's hope for a close game. Let's hope Nuffle doesn't take it too far away from a fair game.
I don't see it. I think the Orcs have got a big ask tonight to take these Dark Elves out. There's just too many weapons. And PeteW is very good with them, or PeteW, as the French have habitually called him.
PeteW. Pepe PeteW. No, that's wrong, isn't it? I was trying to make a joke about the skunk Pepe Le Pew, but it really didn't work. So we'll gloss over that. We'll gloss over that.
Really experienced coaches. Pete's got several majors on fumble to his credit. Is a very well-known real-life player. Fringes of the England team, last I heard. His coach standing at the moment isn't too high, but he's been rocking a very high coach rating for most of his time on fumble. Nearly 2,000 games played with a 68% win percentage. Morehouse actually has played more, despite not being perhaps on quite so long. He's got nearly 3,000 games that are played in ranked. PeteW plays a lot of league games, which don't count there. That may be the difference. He's rocking a 69% win percentage, so that's very, very even. But Pete's known very much as an elf coach. Morehouse also usually is an elf coach, but he did win a major with his Orcs.
Versatile, isn't he? He's quite versatile.
Yeah, I think he'd certainly say so.
Well, yeah, the self-proclaimed king of fumble.
He has a very American sense of self-confidence.
Yes, he does. Yeah, but hey, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? We all need a bit of self-confidence now and again.
Look, that belief took him to one major, and if he gets past Pete, it could still take him to another.
Now we are just waiting and biding our time now, PC. I can't see a game starting just yet. I'll pop onto Discord and see when that's happening.
Well, Morehouse has got a lot of money he wants to be spending, and it's not just going to be bribes. I'm sure he's going to try and pull a surprise or two, or at least something that keeps Pete thinking. A card, even if it's never played, can just sow that little bit of doubt in another coach's mind that can sometimes make them change a play or worry about a play that otherwise they would pull. So I think Morehouse is game enough that he'll be thinking, how do I upset Pete? How do I try and break his rhythm? Because frankly, he starts as a big underdog.
Yeah, indeed. And I've just had the signal that they are waiting for us to say they can start. So, off we go.
Gosh, we are privileged.
Aren't we important? So
are you thinking Pete's going to take this one?
I don't know, PC. I think it all depends on whether or not there's any. I think if there's any early casualties, that is going to be a real issue for whichever team takes them. I think if Morehouse unfortunately takes a couple of casualties early on, and he doesn't use his Apo, then I don't know. I think Pete could run amok. Pete could run amok.
Mind you, even with the 2 Black Orcs missing, he's still bringing 14 Orcs to the table, although 2 of them are goblins, so perhaps we shouldn't count those, and 2 of them are throwers, so perhaps we shouldn't count those either.
Absolutely. We just don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Pete plays it, because I know Pete likes to play quite conservatively to begin with from some of the replays I've seen. He gives it to, I think the movement 8 blitzer, and he holds him back, and he makes those plays against each wing. Making that choice. He's very good at steering the opposing coach into areas that they don't really want to be in.
Yeah, and of course he's got both the pace and the agility to move that ball at will. So while it may stay very passive in the back when we start, it can fly around any time he chooses.
Yeah, and
I don't know about you, but I'm seeing the client up, so I'm popping on in now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm there.
You're there.
So,
I'm just opening up. I'm hopefully going to get it onto the recording in a second.
So PeteW's bought himself a Bloodwiser babe. So that's interesting. The elves he's got, he needs them on the pitch, so I can see why he might want some help getting them back if they're knocked out. And it means he can save his Apoth for something that gets really badly hurt. Morehouse has gone with 2 dirty trick cards.
Well, I see. I am a dirty tricks fan. I must admit, I do like a dirty trick.
And he's added to that a bribe and a star player, which is Ripper. So he's made up for that lack of strength with a strength 6. No block on it, but it comes with Mighty Blow and Grab, which could be interesting.
And also the star big guys, we don't have the nega trait there, do we?
No.
So really
no, they can't use rerolls still, but they still come with loner, so using rerolls on them is tough. And he doesn't have block, so that could be a risk. But yes, no nega trait. And of course, he can throw teammate, and we do have therefore 2 ogres that can throw and 2 goblins to be thrown. I wonder if we'll see a TTM.
We never know. We never know. Right, I've unfortunately had to restart my client. Technical errors. You see, I'm just not Krista.
Well, I'm not surprised to see the bribe go in as well. I think we knew that Morehouse would have at least one bribe. I'm surprised he didn't go two, but he thought the cards, as I said, maybe because the cards are going to give him that little psychological tick of Pete not knowing 100% what they are. Pete won the toss and decided he was going to kick it. Now, a lot of elves do that. A lot of elves feel that's the right way to go. I don't know. I kind of always like to be up at half time, and people probably still think he's going to be, but sometimes outmaneuvering people when you've got a full stack of elves can be good. Of course, it's also the right time to go for the ball because you've got a full stack of elves. And if he can win the first half, he'll be very confident of stalling out the second half or sneaking a score as soon as there's a hole.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, he's a good classic setup where he's not really on the wings. He's not too fussed about that because there's no real threat down those wings with orcs. So I wonder if we'll see any leaping ball popping today.
Well, I mean, even if those squad of blitzers with a little bit of help was to push down a wing, is it really the end of the world if the orcs score on turn 3 or 4? I'd still then back the Dark Elves to get one back. So I'm not sure he's worried about the orcs stretching themselves out long and thin in the first couple of turns.
No,
that would just give him more opportunities. But up on the line there, he's got a wrestle elf, one of his dirty player black elf, dark elf, and a tackle wrestle elf. So even the line has got some reasonable elves on it.
And essentially, I love Pete's. He's always a crowd pleaser. Always a crowd pleaser. Playing to the audience, playing to the fans out there with his comments.
Yeah, I mean, the fans do tend to love Pete. Famously, he's known as Lucky. I've never been convinced he's lucky. I think a lot of it's more skill than people realize. Pete knows those odds so well that when he dodges into a cage, everyone goes, "Oh, look how lucky he was." It was probably only a 1 in 4 fail, or perhaps a 50% chance that didn't matter if he didn't make it. And so people think he's been incredibly lucky when usually he's just been very, very clever and really known the odds.
And welcome to the people that are listening to the commentary as well on Discord. It's nice to hear you. No, it's nice for you to hear us. Possibly not, but it's nice to see you getting involved.
We will try and check Discord for any comments there, but if they're in spec chat, then that's instant. We can read them out, even though they won't be seen on the YouTube, and then we can reply.
Thank you, Ben, for just pointing out that the commentary is there. I always like to have a bit of a guess on what the kickoff result will be, PC. So what's your thoughts?
Looking the way it's set up, I think it's going to be weather. I think we're going to get rid of this rain.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I can always see a riot coming. Always see a riot.
Well, Pete has a kick. So he's probably going to be trying right up at the top where that lone orc is standing and hoping that he gets some way to get to it. Of course, that lone orc does have stand firm, blodge, frenzy, and diving tackle, so it is a living nightmare. But it is a lone, so if the ball was to go up there, it could be tricky.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays. I think I'm hoping Pete plays a little bit more aggressively than I think he might do.
Interestingly, he's subbed out his rookie-ish troll, in that it's got no skills at all, for Ripper. So instead of going with 2 big, strong up fronts, he's just taken a more reliable troll with 1 more strength. And that thrower is on, the one with the safe throw, the nerves of steel, the kickoff return, and accurate. So is he really going to throw the ball in this rain?
I don't know, but both throwers are on.
I think the other one is on purely for its block, though, isn't it?
I would imagine so.
I still think these orcs look too thin. I hope we don't just see a red tide sweeping them away.
Well, I think some people out there might be wishing for that very thing, PC. But coming back to the start of our conversation, I think those two Bobs, the two Black Hawk blockers, they're going to be pivotal missing pieces today.
Yeah, however, they're not there, so you plan without, and I'm not sure I like this plan.
Well, only time will tell, PC. Only time will tell.
Would you have gone with Ripper? Or would perhaps Varag tempt you? Or perhaps even just a mercenary Bob with guard?
Well, I'm not sure, see, because I'm a bit of a Saw fan, so I like to see a Saw on the pitch, just because I think having a Saw on the pitch does make opposing coaches play differently sometimes.
Well,
I think they're a bit more tentative.
One thing that would point towards that, of course, we have got a witch with AV6, relying very much on the power of prayer to keep herself alive.
So,
right, here we go.
Kickoff time.
He's gone deep, and it's perfect defense.
Perfect defense.
Right. So do you swamp for the ball here?
Jack, come on. Jack, in.
In the rain, even with sure hands, an AG3 Orc is a 1 in 4 fail to pick up. There's a good chance that ball doesn't move very far. I think I'd be dashing a couple of blitzers down towards it. Yeah. But he hasn't. He's just moved the line of scrimmage guys to be as least hit as possible, out of the range of the big hitters in the middle of Morehouse's line.
Apologies for that. I just had to go and let my dog in.
I thought I was just talking to someone who didn't like what I was saying.
No, I just wasn't here. I'm sure what you said was very good. I'll listen when I've uploaded it to YouTube.
So Pete decided not to lean into the perfect defense and just moved his line of scrimmage to get a bit less hits than it was going to otherwise.
Okay. Just realised I didn't have any sound on. I quite like the sound. So I've just turned the sound back on.
I find it useful if I'm wittering and you hear a splush. You can remember, I should talk about that. Okay, so he's dropped one of his blitzers back to help the thrower. And I think this one's probably going to head back a little bit too.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah. In case of that misfield, he wants someone by the ball and someone else to help the thrower out in case those Dark Elves come running towards him. But Pete didn't take that chance when he had the perfect defense, so I'm not sure he's going to go.
The first foul of the game.
It did misfield, but straight onto the AG4 blitzer who's caught it. Now that's the one.
Happy with that.
Well, that's the one with move 7 and with AG10, so that's probably where he wanted the ball given a choice. Of course, it makes that thrower even more redundant.
Yeah, because what's he going to do? He's not even going to be able to keep up with the blitzers.
Now, we saw that foul go in, but of course he's got the bribe protection, so he can foul and still expect, even if called, to do some stuff afterwards. Mostly.
Yeah, I think one of the rookie errors people make is, especially with fouling, is you neglect positioning to get a decent foul in, and then this kind of thing could happen, and they overlap.
Totally. I mean, that was his best shot, because this is the time where the ball isn't near enough to Dark Elves and he's not creating a big problem. Although Pete has decided to come in and screen the main body of Orcs away from the ball.
No, it's like, see, for Morehouse, he's not going to have the players back to safely cage. Is it going to force him into a pass? Oh, tricky times.
Well, I'm not loving, for once I'm not loving the screen that Pete set up. I think it's a little light in the north. So I'd be looking to take out Mr. Thomas W. Right up at the top there and build some sort of cage up there. certainly midfield doesn't look possible. So Pete's driving him towards the edge.
So it looks like Morehouse is taking some time to think. How long does it take you to think for a general move, PC? What's your time of play?
I've always thought I was reasonably quick, but I guess you'd have to ask people that face me. Usually, I mean, I've played so many games now that a lot of things fall into patterns and you can start to have a go fairly quickly. But in big games like this with tough positions, that's the time when you need to get your think on and really make sure that you've found a plan, you're going to follow it through. There's fallbacks within that plan in case it goes wrong. And that when you're putting things into action, no matter what happens, really, it's going to end up with some good stuff for you.
Yeah, see, you and Morehouse I quite alike.
North was the only place to go. Oh, that's a nice hit.
That's a big
Not a key elf that's gone, and hence no apoth on it. That one had the kick and reps the sidestep, but it was minus AG, so Pete's let him go. That's Mr. Thomas W. I think
Pete's
that's named after his son.
It is.
And Morehouse, a child killer there.
I wonder if there'll be vengeance.
Now, the only worry I would have if I was Morehouse here, and it's probably causing him some pause for thought, is this is obviously where Pete wanted me to go. The way he stacked that midfield, the only option was North. So
this comes back to what I was saying earlier. He's very good at forcing you into a play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he likes that. I've seen him use that AV6 but AG5 witch to devastating effect. It's got Juggernaut, it's got sidestep, and it leaps. So it can get to just about anywhere, and he's not afraid of a -2 dice if all he needs is a push. And that's probably why we've seen Morehouse risk some go for it and get 3 steps away from the edge. Now, I like how Morehouse is using the throwers here by not using them at all.
Yes. Well, I don't know the top one.
They're roadblocks. They're nothing more than roadblocks.
They're just in the way, aren't they? Let's just stick
exactly.
Them in the way.
Strength 5 elves. There really ought to be a law against that.
It's just filthy, isn't it? It's filthy is what it is.
I mean, a strength 5 vampire, you can kind of think, okay, but when it's an elf, it's got that agility. It doesn't need the strength. When it's got both, they're just such a pain.
What would your choice be here then, PC? What would you try and
do?
Would you be backing up players just to get to a bit of a better position, or?
I was just thinking, I'm not sure I like what Pete's chosen here. I see why he tried to get the 2 Black Hawks down. If he can separate what strength Morehouse has left from the ball, then it's a lot easier to see the elves getting in there and doing some damage. But, oh, he's going to foul one, I think. Try and take it out completely. And he has got it. It's a badly hurt. Yeah, that's not a terrible elf to lose, though he is running out of spares. He's lost 2 and he's only got 3 on the bench. But taking one of the better of the 2 Black Orcs down, he's going to be happy with that. It probably does mean if the Orcs really want to push on and get a score, they can. But scoring in turn 5 is perhaps not ideal. And frankly, Pete wouldn't be worried, I think.
Yeah, Morehouse used his Apo on that, so his Apothecary's gone.
Oh, he did? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Well,
sure, I can see why.
It's badly hurt, and you've got actually roadblock, isn't it? But I guess, I don't know. You want your stand for? Oh, there's only got one stand for, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Not sure about that one.
Well, on Fumble we do have, or at least we used to have, a movement called the Positional Purity Movement. And any fans of that watching are going to be thrilled, because what they love is when the big prizes Fumble gives out for winning things die and remove their game-breaking selves from the game. So at least with that app-off gone, we might see some of these prize-winning blitzers going properly hurt. But then Morehouse is all about this game and winning the one in front of him. So while he loved those prizes, I'm sure if he lost them both but got to the final of this one, he'd think that was a price worth paying. Okay, so the Orcs are pushing on with whatever they can bring with them and trying to cage up. Do you think he's going into the cage, or do you think he'll let them score?
I think he will. I don't think he'll try and pop it yet. I think we'll turn around on turn 3. I think he'll probably wait till turn 5 or 6 before he pops it. I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to. I'm not even sure it's worth it.
Well, he surely can't let the Orcs stall out for a turn 8 walkover, which would be what they want. So does he go in early, or does he let them score if it's early enough, and then only go in if it gets too late?
Possibly.
Yeah, he's nipping at the edges, isn't he? So
it's just trimming away.
I mean, he can get back and wall up, but it's going to take some go for it.
Ooh, okay, let's see what happens here.
Okay, he's coming in to say hello. Wow, that line elf he popped in the middle there is blodge, guard, and sidestep. So that's going to be a real pain to move.
Well, he sounds like an amazing guy. Oh, interestingly. You can probably, yeah. This is all right play from Pete actually. He's gonna make Morehouse roll some dice.
Certainly is. Now he's just putting a little screen into the south of that melee to stop basically the blitzers coming out south, isn't it?
Yeah, and also to stop any
taking a new cage down that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now the one nearest the line is another blodge sidestepper, so I think progress forward's going to be very tough to find. But he's made some forward moves, and he's still got a reasonable amount of Orcs left, so perhaps we'll just see him hole up and try and consolidate there for a turn or two before he pushes on a bit more. Maybe he'll centralize the ball. I might be hitting the AG6 blitzer that's a tiny bit forward of the others. Mr. Afro.
He's left him open. And there's a legend player that's your ball carrier. Yeah, I think I'd probably take a pop at him.
I mean, there's no diving tackle on the one that's currently got the ball, so he can dodge out of there. It is AG4. It should be fine.
Famous last
words. Yeah, how many times have we thought, oh, it's only a 1 in 6 fan, I have rerolls, it'll be fine. Wow, now that's a strength 6 without assists, hitting a blodge sidestepper, so needing a natural power and not finding it. He's surely not pushing along the edge with the Juggernaut Frenzy Witch lurking there.
She's ready to pounce. You see, she's ready to pounce.
Now he's got himself a pal there, which is nice on some no mark called Throwek.
Hey. Hey, I'm still alive.
Now that's interesting. He's put a... I think that was the wrong way round. He put the blitzer in without guard, rather than the blitzer with guard.
I think.
Oh, he's going to go for a score. He has. Wow, so 1-0 at turn 4. Giving the Dark Elves 5 turns to attack back. Well, this you know, points on the board are good points. And we see the mind games in the chat. They're congratulating each other, of course, and all the polite things get typed and not meant. And then Pete comes in with just the 2 words quite early.
But we also know Morehouse isn't going to take that, and quite rightly comes back with something else.
Yeah, I don't think Morehouse is going to be cowed. I don't see his ego collapsing anytime soon. So, in fact, he's just bragged he plans to win 5-0. And if you are planning to win 5-0, you've got to get scoring. So he's certainly on course for that. Right, now let's see if we see both trolls come out this time. And how many throwers he puts on the pitch.
Yeah, and looks like some big heavy hitters coming out, both trolls on.
Well, Morehouse has just commented in the chat, and I think he's being truthful that really his big worry is that witch. Good as the blitzers are, the witch does come with AG5, leap, blodge, sidestep, and juggernaut. So that cancels stand firm. That can take anything out over the pitch.
Yeah, it's a key piece, and if you notice, he's always hung back with her, and he's not. He's obviously just waiting for that time to just pounce and boom, find his turn.
Well, she is armored like a stunty.
Well, that's very true.
I mean, at AV6, if she goes down under Mighty Blow, you're really hoping that's at least a stun. And then, once a figure like that is stunned on the pitch, it's a rare opponent that won't take a chance to kick her in the face at the same time.
And when do people not want to kick a witch in the face? These are the questions that I live by, PC.
Well, I mean, there are people that don't. There's people that still think fouling, I think because of the name, is something that ought not to be done by nice people. Well, you be nice, I'll just win. And live with my moral turpitude.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, I know there's a whole debate about turn 16 fouling. And when I first joined Fumble and didn't really know much about the community and what it was all about, and I played Blood Bowl in the past and getting used to the client, I turned 16, some guy's superstar mummy to death with no regen.
Right.
He got quite upset about it and PM'd me. And I was just new. I was new.
Well, I'm not sure that's a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just
I've never had a problem with it. I've never got that attached to individual pixels. I think that might be why. No, I'm not a big turn 16 fouler, but I'm never going to rant at somebody for it.
No, and if it's part of the game, it's part of the game. I think it all depends on the douchery that comes with it.
Yeah, I mean, with certain people who sort of live in character, it's to be expected and encouraged. It's part of their play style. I'm not holding that against them. If that's how they get their fun, that's how they get their fun.
Okay, so what are we expecting from PeteW's first offensive drive here? What do you think's going? Where do you think he's going with it?
I'd be heading south. Would I? I think I worry less about Ripper than I worry about the Bob with stand firm and block guard. And because that's really slow, I can choose which one of those two are pretty much not in this half. I think I would use a rookie to tie up Ripper and head south.
Kick-off result, I think.
He's got the time to take the ball, hang back, and see what develops.
Yeah, he has. He's got some time.
It's a load of time for elves. 5 turns is enormous numbers.
Yeah, I'm going for perfect D again.
Perfect D, but interesting, the ball is right up on the line. It's going to land 1 square from the line of scrimmage. Now, if it doesn't bounce out, which those always bounce out, then he could put some pressure on it.
Yeah, it's one of those bounces that you just know. You pray that it's going to land in your half, but you know it's going to go out.
Now, he's put the bob down 3 from the edge. Of course, that is once again because of that witch. So 2 from the edge, that witch would surf it, or at least it would try to.
And we are hoping, just on this while he's setting up, we are hoping to get a bit of an interview with Morehouse after the game, aren't we? Hopefully
Oh,
that
I'm
will
sure
happen.
if he's won, he will definitely come on and talk to us. If he hasn't won, he'll probably want to explain why it wasn't down to coaching. So we'll see.
We will see. Excuse me.
Okay, so he's centralised his ogre to take the hit from the strength 5 if the strength 5 stays there. He's put his rookie-ish Bob on the line next to a thrower because he wants those throwers dead so he can get proper players. And he has only put one tackle zone on where the ball looks to land. I mean, for a start, it's going to bounce out. And even if it stays in, the odds of it being on the line are not great. And any nearer to the edge, and that witch is coming into play. So I guess he didn't really have options outside of this.
Well, Morehouse looks like he's just left the game, so whether he's going to sacrifice another goat, I'm not sure.
No, he's probably just gone out back to chop some. Isn't that what they do in America? Chop wood and check rifles? I think that's
it, isn't it? Yeah.
I think that's what they're about.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Not that we're generalising.
Okay, he's back. Pete whipping up the crowd there, talking about how scared Morehouse was and how if he wasn't back in 15 minutes, he would insist on a concession. He is a munchkin. Yeah, the ball bounced out. So it's a touchback.
And they're the ones who sometimes you can go all in with those and it just really flies back at you.
Well, the way he's set up here, he had to think defensively. But I'm not sure there's any huge holes. The south looks a little weak, but with both trolls down there, everything else can move pretty quick to reinforce it. And the stand firm diving tackle blitzer alone, who he's hitting, but that is a worry to any offense.
It looks like he's pushing up quite early.
Yeah, it's an interesting call here, particularly with, as I said, 2 possible throw teammate plays. If the Orcs do get back on the field with the ball and even one turn, they're going to have a shot at that. Morehouse is not going to run out of re-rolls. He's still got 6, so even if he uses one every turn, there'll be one for any special play.
And I don't think we've seen a re-roll used so far in the game.
No, I'm not sure we have.
Usually, I've spent all my 3 on the first 3 turns.
Yeah, Pete's really reinforcing down south there.
He's certainly.
If he can break through in numbers, he can stall up till turn 8. So. And he's dodging them all out, so it's a no free hits turn for the Orcs here.
And that's what you got to do with elves, isn't it? You don't want to give any free hits away.
No, this is exactly as Pete wants it to be going. But every turn he gets the movement, and as long as he avoids enough ones, it's only the blitz he's got a fear incoming. And then it doesn't matter how many nasty players there are, if there's only one able to hit you each turn, it's unlikely the damage is going to tell enough that it won't leave him really strong for the second half. Okay, so Ripper's retreating to try and lock down that southern wide zone. And now here come the blitzers.
I think Morehouse defensive play is good. I do think Pete could still struggle here.
Morehouse is very solid in every aspect of his play. It pains me sometimes to say it, but he's a very, very good Blood Bowl player. There's no real notable weakness that I've ever seen. He maybe at times is, if I had to be critical, perhaps a tiny bit wedded to decent roles and decent plans. Sometimes he could be a little bit more creative, a little bit more seat of the pants, but okay, that's another injury for the Orcs, but it's not a key elf that's gone out.
But it is one less, PC.
It is one less, but it only had wrestle. But right now there'd still be 11 for the second half, but things are starting to look tight on the Dark Elf bench.
No, I can see Pete probably being 10 men second half. Because I'd still if I was Morehouse, I'd still be sticking the boot in where I would.
Yeah, but to stick the boot in, you've got to get some elves down to give yourself that choice.
That is very true. That's very true.
If they're not there, you can't hit them or kick them. But right now, he's trying to take some orcs down rather than dodging out. So that really hasn't worked. Now, although the ball carrier has move 8, he's 11 squares from the end zone, so he can't make it this turn. He's got to be looking to go somewhere. And with the fight he's decided to engage in back there near the centre line, it's hard to see where he's going to go that's nice and safe.
And also, when you start a fight, it's sometimes very hard to get out.
Yeah. But he's man committed now. There's 4 Dark Elves definitely staying in that area. That's not leaving him enough really to head forwards. He's probably going to have to hold up more or less where he is. At the moment, that one stand firm diving tackle frenzy blodge blitzer is really causing a problem. Okay, finally he's got the power by blitzing it. It's still staying where it was. It's going to stand up right in the middle of all of that trouble. But at least it's down.
Do you think he'll risk a foul with the rookie?
Yeah, the crowd always want it. As you said, we've lost 3 Dark Elves already. He's got at least, I think, risking another elf off pitch is a big risk. Juicy indeed as that lovely blitzer would be to kick. I probably wouldn't. Yeah, it's not time for that witch to start being brave.
Crowd will have to wait.
The crowds on Fumble are interesting because despite having some really know what they're doing and usually talking about, the crowds just always bay for blood.
They do, but that's what Blood Bowl's about, surely. Well, the blood part, at least.
I've always thought, I always wondered where the owls were. When I got into it, I thought it was blood beat owl. I've yet to find the owls. No, of course there's blood in Blood Bowl, and in every game we see it, but the crowd wants foul after foul, casualty after casualty. That's what they're here for.
And I think you do get things like that, when especially, and I've played over 2,500 games, not here now.
Yeah.
And you do get those games where it's casualty after casualty after casualty, and you're just, oh my goodness, what's going on?
Yeah. Actually, for me as a spectator, those aren't as fun to watch. I like the ones where it gets tense. I like the ones with good plays. I like the ones with lots of pushing action and some scrummage.
Yeah, I like to see thought through plays with chain pushes and just stuff that I can learn from as well.
And I love to see the ball on the ground. It always ups the tension. Now, interestingly, both players are baiting the crowd, so both are surfing the boos that are coming in at the moment. Morehouse by bragging about winning the last major, and Pete by declaring that he's not going to foul, no matter what the rabble wants. So,
it's going to be interesting to see how this half plays out. Because now it's getting a bit clogged up down there.
It certainly is, and that annoying blitzer is now right by the ball with its stand firm diving tackle frenzy blodge. Of course, the elephant in the room is Pete's blitzers, and which have so much agility and so much leap, they can just ignore problems and laugh away from them as long as they avoid 2 1s in a row.
I don't think I've ever had players like that. I've got a Strength 5 AG6 Vamp, which I don't really play. That's about it.
I once had a Strength 5 Orc blitzer, but it was brief, and this was in the days of aging. And he aged, and I fired him because he just wasn't worth the drag in the TV.
Absolutely. Now, what's Pete's play here? Do you fight it out or do you dodge away?
Well, all that time he had has now got a little short. It's turn 6. He's got 2 more turns
absolutely.
after this.
Do you?
He has. I would be repositioning to the north.
I would as well, because the troll's really
He's
stupid.
got the time, yeah.
So you've got a gap there.
You can slip past that troll, and that troll won't be coming after you next turn. And if it does, it's not scary. It means Ripper will be taken out of the game. You can screen off the Black Orc blockers fairly easily, so the Bobs will be out of the game. And then of the blitzers, you just need to leave them behind. But of course, first he has to take this stand firm blodge frenzy nightmare down because of the diving tackle.
There we go.
There we go. He's got it down. It only took, what was that, 3 Dark Elves this time, but at least now he can exit that area if he chooses to, and he really ought to choose to. Now, I think, because Pete's clever, we'll see an angled hit on Reggie Roby, the little dirty player line orc up at the top. If you come into him from the northwest angle, you can also push some things clear, or you could push the thrower away from the Dark Elves and allow easier dodging out, and also just a safer route to the north. So my money says the blitz goes in there.
I think you're right.
Oh, okay. Now that surprises me.
So,
he's going to try and surf Ripper.
Oh.
There we go. He's got him down, but he's not surfed him.
That could cause a problem.
Well, now he's got to get that elf away, because with the AV6, he's not going to want a hit.
Oh!
So Ripper goes out on a KO. One thing that's interesting about trolls is, of course, they don't come with thick skull.
That is a good turn for Pete. A good turn for Pete.
Yeah, that's turned what was not a, I think, perhaps optimal decision to stall up down there. That's made it look absolutely lovely.
I think this will be an easy score for Pete now. I don't think there's. I'm not sure Morehouse has got enough tools in the bag now to contest.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Obviously, that's two big orcs to be going out. He's got 9 players on the pitch. One of those is a useless troll. It's away from any help. It's 50-50 whether it'll move unless it gets that help. And any help that goes to it is then not helping with the rest of the drive. The ones he's got left, there's some nice blitzers there, but unfortunately there's some sidestepping Dark Elf blitzers around that are going to tie them up and use their hits up. If he can get to that witch and hit her with something that hits well, then we could see the momentum swing back the other way, because the AV6 loves to pop. Now, for the first time, we've reached the time limit on the turn. So I wonder if we're going to see Morehouse tempted by the button.
Don't know, but Morehouse has dropped in a sarcastic comment.
Well, Pete did say that he had to go and deal with one of his kids.
He
is a father of 4, so that has to be respected.
And I can empathise with that.
Morehouse has now said, I wonder if we'll see a child issue 3.5 minutes into every tough turn. Whilst Pete is a munchkin that will do anything to win, I'm not sure he would abuse his children like that.
No.
Even if only in name. And if he would, shame on him. Okay, that trapped blitzer is AG5, but it's one of the few without leap. So anywhere it tries to go, it's doing it as an AG1 dodge. So he's probably going to have to leave it there. Yeah, Pete said 5+ will let you hit me. And ultimately he chose to let him hit it.
Yeah, I think I'd have done the same there.
Well, it's got blodge, and that's one of the tacklers that we saw go out with that blitzer that left the field. Right, so if you're orcs, how do you attack this?
Do you attack it, or do you try and take some key players out?
Well, I mean, accepting 1-1 at the half is accepting that you have to turn over in the second half.
That's very true.
And if it's only one reroll to get Ripper and that blitzer back, I'd be fearful. I'd want to, yeah, I think I'd want to see if I can stop the score any way I can.
Let's not forget, though, that Morehouse has 2 dirty tricks.
He does.
And my theory about dirty tricks is, if you stopped at 2 or 3, you've probably picked up Pit Trap.
Okay. Well, I suppose he could have got more and then downgraded Ripper to something a bit less. So, yeah, maybe you're right. Perhaps on those 2 cards, he's got something he really likes the look of. And if it isn't Pit Trap, I mean, maybe Greased Shoes. That's another nice one.
It is a nice one, yeah.
Okay, so that annoying blitzer is out the way. That creates a lot more freedom for him to move some players around and take some choices. Would you be looking at maybe a 1 die on the witch just because hitting her would be so much fun?
I think with...
Oh, he's decided to assist it and go for the 2 die.
I think you've got 4 rerolls with 2 turns left, so...
Right, here we go. It's a pow.
Here it comes.
She'll surely sidestep above the bob for a surf if she can get up. Yeah. It's a stun. That's weak. He's going to be cross with that. And now Pete's saying he's upset because it means he can't stand up and surf the Black Hawk blocker. Yeah, I think you got very lucky there, Pete. Once again, and a wish and a prayer does her instead of armor. Now, being stunned, it means she'll sit out turn 7, but of course she's jumper.
Yeah,
So turn 8, she can still be useful. She's still in this drive.
Be interesting to see what Pete does here. Because he's got to break through a little bit, or at least he's got to get into a scoring position.
He really doesn't. I know what you mean, but that witch, it's got AG5. It's within range of the end zone. Even in the rain, it catches on a 2+.
True.
It's got leap, so it can get right out of anywhere. So unless Morehouse fouls it, which he probably should.
I think I'd like to be just inside, just in case I don't have to roll those dice.
Oh, it's much better to have the ball in range and certainly other options in range. But I'm just saying that witch just sat where she is going to come available as a scoring option for the final turn. And it's a 2+ leap to get out of there, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be. Must be a 2+ leap.
So, does he try and advance the ball? Does he try and advance other catch options? I'd want the ball to go forwards. The Orcs, even if they stop us, can't head forwards. They've got no Gobbler on the pitch. There's no TTM available. So it's all now about, can he get to 1-1? And I think you should go balls in for it, frankly.
Well, I'm not sure that must be a very British phrase. Balls in. I do like that.
Yeah, surely that's... Again, that's that diving tackle, stand firm, frenzy, blodge, blitzer. Now it's been pushed right next to the ball. Of course, that's AG6. So does he care about diving tackle when he's AG6?
I don't know, but looking at some of the comments in the in-game chat on the two police leap question, you set off Gritter's Alexa, just so you know. Alexa, play Clanad.
That might be the single most evil action I've ever heard somebody undertake using Alexa. So he's broken for the border, headed north with the ball, that AG6 diving out of the diving tackle as if it wasn't there, because it wasn't there. He's AG6. And now he's using his ludicrous amount of agility, movement, and hitting power to get a screen up by the ball.
Like you said, PC, it's... I think these elves can possibly do anything.
Yeah, it reminds you of Cartman, doesn't it? We're elves. We do what we want. It's a nice little 2-man screen.
Yeah, that's all it needs. All it needs. I can see the witch getting a boot. Because at this point, realistically, you're not going to get the ball.
Well, you say that. Andre Tippett, the blitzer down covering the witch. That's AG4 and move 7.
Possibly
that could dodge into 2 tackle zones and get a hit if you'd cancelled the assist from Mr. But And it has dodge, and there's no tackle preventing that dodge being used. So that's an AG2 dodge. That's not terrible. That's a 1 in 4 failure to get next to the ball, and then it's 1 die when you hit it. I think I'd be doing that.
I guess it'd be worth a shot. Maybe I just like fouling too much.
Well, it's really tempting, because that witch really deserves death. But yeah, someone else in the chat has pointed out that the thrower could get around to offer an assist for 2 dice, but the thrower would have to dodge away from a Dark Elf blitzer to do so, and then 2 go for it to offer that assist. I'm not sure 3+2+2+ pays off for the second dice, but you know, your mileage may vary. One of the factors in that is you then leave that other Dark Elf blitzer without anything covering it. He's gone for it. But it was to get the tackle zone on the ball rather than the hit. I'd have done it for the hit. Oh!
Ouch.
And then Chad Greenaway was going to blitz somewhere. Presumably, the Dark Elf blitzer it dodged next to, that's freeing up the thrower and itself to go in and put more cover on the ball. But it didn't work, and hence we're now going to see a very straightforward score for the Dark Elves and 1-1 at half time.
Yeah, and that's it's going to be tough for Morehouse, I think. Second half now.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. You did me with kickoffs. Do you think those knockouts are coming back? Are we going to see Ripper? Are we going to see that lovely blitzer back for the Orcs? I think I might have lost Throwback there.
No, I'm here. I'm just spooky. As this is saying this feedback, so I'm just trying to play around.
Yeah, I'm on headphones and a headset. I think Throwback.
Same here. I'm on headset and
Okay. I think we were getting a little more echo with Morehouse, who was last night when he was just using his laptop's microphone. So that's why I've gone with the headset. Right, so there we are, 1-1. Now, Ripper did come back, but the blitzer didn't. So that's a tackle, mighty blow, frenzy, juggernaut, not making it to the second half. That's a big miss on it. It's already got just not enough weapons, not enough tools.
Here comes the card.
Yeah, Pete's thrilled. He's doing the happy dance in chat. Okay, so we've got a dirty trick being played. There are exploding runes coming on for the Iowa Hawkorks. The specs are cheering because that's always fun to see. Now, these can be massively game changing. If Pete had them and put them on his AG6 thrower, because you throw exploding runes with a -1, they'd be devastating. He could get them accurately anywhere. I think we're going to see them go, yes, we are. We're going to see them go on the Hail Mary Orc at the back. Now, that means he can Hail Mary those exploding runes and use them as artillery, firing them off all over the pitch.
Let's see. We'll see what happens. I still think he's got a pit trap up his sleeves.
I think he was probably rolling for the Hail Mary pass and runes combo. I think he's got runes up his sleeve.
You never know.
Now, he did confess before the game he'd never used the Hail Mary pass skill before. I think this is where he's going to use it. Yeah, I think this is it. And then it doesn't matter that the runes give a -1 because Hail Mary just works or it doesn't.
This could be death from above for Pete if he's not
now,
careful.
Because Pete can't resist, Pete's playing some mind games here. So Morehouse feels this is his big surprise and hoped it would have some impact. Pete is talking about the fact that he plays a lot of tabletop, and in tabletop, goblins get a lot of help because otherwise they get slaughtered. And that often means they do get some doubles, and they can use those skills and stack some skills. And hence he has faced artillery-like goblin bombers before. Whether he should be worried at all, would you worry? Do you think this is a play that could change it?
I don't know. It only takes a fail, doesn't it? It only takes a fail. I don't know. I think if he keeps spread out enough, he's not likely. He doesn't usually cage with his elves. He likes to screen.
Yeah, there's no need. He's got so much agility and pace that you don't need to be in a block. They're not a team with a lot of guard either, so you sometimes see AV8 elves that have guard run a sort of street fighting style where they're mostly running the ball in reasonably tight cages. But Pete's got agility and Pete's got speed, so he'll run them more like a wood elf. Greens, the ball sometimes dropping way back from the line if that's where it needs to be, moving quickly, probing for holes, and then once there's a weakness on one side, just sweeping loads of elves through and trying to wall up and stall behind the orcs.
Now, one thing I don't know, PC, is can you catch a Hail Mary?
Do you know, I don't think you can. I think the angle it comes in at makes it impossible. But hopefully one of the specs will type and say whether, because I've never seen a Hail Mary played. But no, I don't think you can catch them. Or surely you can, because it's just like throwing the ball, isn't it?
Well, this is why I don't know, because I'm... Oh. Cheers. Thank you, Bazzer.
Yeah, I'd have thought if it lands exactly on your player, you can catch it. Yeah. But one of the points with Hail Mary pass is that I was going to say it doubles well with diving catch. So you can take the two worst skills in Blood Bowl and put them together, and they're ever so slightly less worse. Because the Hail Mary pass is automatically inaccurate, and divine catch, of course, gives you a slight chance of catching something that isn't on your exact square. So those two terrible skills add up to make two ever so slightly less terrible skills when used together.
It's not a combo I tend to play around with a lot.
Well, I'm not sure anybody does, do they?
I'm sure there are some goblin bombers out there that's Hail Mary. So I don't know. You don't see many of them. It's not a tactic that works greatly clearly, because otherwise everyone would have one.
True. And as I said, the runes are often ruinous if on something with high agility. But here, instead of agility, he's going with the bombing option. Let's see if it works. It's going to be fascinating either way. Oh, huge early hit there.
Oh.
So his strength 4 Dark Elf used the 2 guard assists. He has got to hit the troll, and the troll went badly hurt.
That's a biggie.
Well, useless as it was, it was the roadblock factor.
All the first double skulls of the game there.
Yeah, and it sees the reroll go, so I don't think Pete's planning anything risky after that this turn. He's going to pick the ball up, of course, but other than that, I'm not sure we're seeing lots of go for it, so I'm not sure that reroll going is going to be big. But it's 1 down, it leaves only 3. Morehouse now, of course, has 7.
And when don't you need 7?
Well, always. Unless you're playing for overtime. I'm not a lover of 6. I think 5 is a lot. I think 4 and winning 1 or 2 is a nice way to go. I think 5 is plenty. 6 is ample. If you're getting through 6 rerolls, there's bigger problems than just your need of rerolls. You're creating too much need for rerolls. Now, Spooky's just raising in the spec chat. Did we not see in the last major there was a slam that Hail Mary'd passed to a diving catcher, and that led to a score? Yes, I do actually remember seeing that game, and I remember all the specs going crazy about it. So there we are. I lied. I have seen Hail Mary pass used with divine catch. and it being marginally less crap than news without it. Spooky's saying that was the play of the tournament for the last tournament. It was, but only because it was so unexpected, so unusual, and because it's just not something you see. You could watch
Absolutely.
1,000 games on Fumble and not see that combo used.
And I think we've kind of failed to notice really that it's been raining all game, and with all this AG kicking around, there's just no effect.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think it affected that very first pickup from the Orc thrower. That's still a combination of words I'm struggling to put together and not laugh. But of course, an AG4 blitzer caught it. And as you say, the Dark Elves have got so much extra agility, they probably just don't care. Okay, so the Orcs are walling up in the middle, trying not to commit to one side or the other, knowing that that's what Pete wants, to get past them one side or the other. The problem is he's already looking a little thin. He's pushed one blitzer forward to try and put some pressure on the ball. Here goes the artillery. Oh, a little tiny bit too far away. One square further to the south, and that could have caught the ball. But certainly it might put some fear into Pete, because that's what Morehouse plans to do until he's stopped. Now, Pete has advanced 2 Dark Elves of his own. I'm not convinced that's for scoring. I think that's to go after the bomber.
That's what I think there's also a little bit of an argument of bait in there. When you put them on the wings, then you're drawing people out to mark them up. Just buys you a bit more time in the middle if you need it.
Yeah, you can. It depends on the opponent, but if you can pull enough away from the middle, you can then start winning in the middle. You've got a nice pocket to advance the ball to. If it goes for one over the other, then perhaps it helps you decide which way to go, whether it's top or bottom. And if he leaves them alone as he has, technically you've got scoring options or at least passing options, but much more likely you've got people that can go in and take that bomber out.
Is he blitzing the bomber?
No, he's blitzing the really, really annoying tackle Mighty Blow. Oh no, that isn't the stand firm one. So he has picked a different target to pointlessly harry this half. It is the ball carrier. And there we are, implying that he doesn't use either of his throwers for ball carrying.
It's a. I do like logos. I know I've said it before. I know I've written like a guide on them, but I do like seeing teams with logos.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I'm not someone that can do logos. I've only got 3 teams that have them, and I knocked them together really, really long time ago. I've then got one logo that I can plaster onto any team. It's nice to see something up there. Chest? That would be the purple chest. And then I've got the ironic one that someone did of me, bursting with the purple chest out of a jacket, which someone did, let's say, gently mocking me, and I decided to lean into and adopt. So sometimes I use that too. But it is nice to see them. I personally don't like it when they colour the wide zone. I know that's been famously done in the Southern Waste League, one of Fumble's really long-running leagues from Australia.
That's right.
And there I think it looks really nice because every team does it. But when one side does it and the other doesn't, I think it looks a bit ugly. But I do like seeing something in the middle. Yeah, in spectator chat, sorry?
Morehouse is now starting to just have a bit of poke in the chat.
Well, Pete will probably see that as a bit of a victory, that if Morehouse is resorting to some trash talking to try and unsettle him, it's probably because Morehouse feels that he's not on top, and he's not at the moment. Now, in Spec Chat, they've also just pointed out that There's no point putting a tackle zone on the Bombardier with Hail Mary pass. It doesn't affect Hail Mary pass. Unless you take that one down, unless you blitz it to the ground, it can still Hail Mary pass, even in tackle zones.
We'll see another go at it here, won't we? So we'll see what happens. See if he can get lucky with the bomb.
He's got a nice target, but accuracy with targets isn't really Hail Mary passes thing. Here we go. It throws on a perfect 6. Bang! Right in the hole. And does nothing at all. Well, he got it right into the area he wanted it. I mean, virtually any other square around there would have helped. But it only hit on one, on Mr. Happy, and Mr. Happy did not get affected. Do you think that's going to be worrying, Pete?
Not after those turns, no.
But 2 useless ones surely means there's a good one on the way.
If life worked like that, I wouldn't have married my first wife.
You mean life isn't fair? There isn't karma? Good guys don't win in the end? Damn. I'm not sure Morehouse has a lot of choices here. He's coming in towards the ball, trying to create some pressure. I think that's sensible. I don't see what other plays he's really got.
It's a tricky one. I think unless something horrible happens, I think Pete can probably just pace this out now.
Well, I think the dilemma Pete's facing now is, does he try and stay back and then move forwards towards the end for his 2-1, or does he score early because actually the Orcs haven't got that much to throw against him in reply? He's probably also going to be thinking about the next game already and how much damage he does or doesn't want to suffer. He's still got the Apoth, but he's had 1 killed, so... Okay, he's decided to break the line and get towards that end zone. I think that's probably sensible.
I think it is sensible because when it's a high-stakes game, it's always nice to be in that position to score and then fight people off, and then you've got the ability to score if you need to.
I think in an ideal world, he'd have sucked the Orcs a little further forwards,
and
the group to the north a little further from the ball. But the bomb's out. So we're not going to see a good bomb. It's a
shame, it's a shame.
And of course, that only leaves 9 Orcs on the pitch. Against 11 Dark Elves. So I think he's going to be walling up and trying to stall all the way through from here. And unless we see a change of the dice, I don't see much stopping him. Now, those Dark Elves aren't stopping randomly. They're being really thought through. If you look, they're creating a loose screen. They're often 4 apart from each other and only 1 vertically or horizontally in the opposite axis. And that means they're dodging through, you're dodging into 1 tackle zone, and it's just making things harder to progress. It means to get anywhere, you've got to take down something that isn't relevant to the ball, just to create movement, just to get your Orcs back towards where you need them in 2 turns' time.
I was just thinking about cards. One of the other cards you could be having is legal substitution. that might come in useful at some point this drive.
Yeah, I've seen the legal substitution used in some very... when it comes on, it can't blitz, but it can offer assists. So...
Some thinking time for Morehouse going on here.
I think we're already at the stage of a game where any plan will do. A bad plan is better than no plan.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think when I play, I think one of my problems is I don't tend to think of enough options. I tend to go, oh, okay, yeah, that'll do.
Well, sometimes there aren't a lot of options. I guess if I was playing as the Orcs here, I'd be trying to get as many Orcs backwards as possible. That probably means hitting Mr. Throwek.
No.
Because that would allow me to get some at least slightly round the corner, slightly down into that bottom wide zone where the Dark Elves don't want me to be.
Yeah, you've got to put some pressure on now, haven't you?
You can make a case for hitting Mr. Murphy as well, the one that's just by the H of Hawkorks, because that might get another couple of Orcs free to move backwards. Even then, though, when you're pressuring the sidelines, you've got to remember that Witch wants to surf you. So anything you're pressuring on the sidelines, are you making yourself available for surfing? Because Pete wants to surf you. And I think if the Orcs go any more people down, this is done.
I agree. I think Pete's commanding a strong position here. I think he's probably sitting there quite confidently.
Yeah, this is all according to the plan. Now, he did what I suggested earlier, dodging into two tackle zones to get a hit on the ball. But this time he did it very... The actual dodge in to hit, it was unlucky it didn't work. But there have been so many dice before that in some ways, you know, that was a stack of odds he faced rather than just that one final set.
Yeah, and it was unlucky. They're the kind of ones that become legendary plays, don't they? And
yeah, if that had worked.
Yeah, I have no idea how I pulled that off.
Well, one of the tough things in Blood Bowl, I mean, whatever race you're playing, is finding that moment where you have to commit and have to attack. Knowing that if it goes wrong, that's probably the game.
Yeah, and I think that probably was.
Sometimes it calls itself. You know, Morehouse was in a position here where if things didn't change, it was looking very bad. So he had to try something to change it. He came up with something that would have changed it, and it failed. I think it was probably still the right play.
Well, I think we can ask him about it. If he's still open to interview afterwards as part of this broadcast, I guess.
I'm certain he will be. Having won a major just before this one, I don't think losing in the quarterfinals of this is going to be anything he takes too harshly. He came in knowing he was the underdog. He hasn't made any massive errors that I've thought of.
No, I don't think he has. I think the team.
Some people would say the thrower and the card was never that good a play, never that high odds of working, but he was trying something to upset a paradigm that already was against him.
Yeah, of course. Weak foul.
So another foul with no real effect, except another Dark Elf leaves the pitch. But I'm not sure Pete's worried about numbers here. He's feeling well in control of this.
I will probably see him stall it out now, and Morehouse has got rerolls to burn through, so maybe we'll see some crazy plays.
Well, and he can put some of those rerolls in, even just into hitting. If he can get Pete over with a couple of turns left, of course, he does still have those goblins. He could try to throw teammate. The rain doesn't help him, whereas the elves have been largely able to ignore it. But it's always there as an option. Plus, he has a thrower that can genuinely, apparently, throw the ball. So
and there's nothing more satisfying than a good old TTM, is there?
Everybody loves them, don't they? I have a coda to that. If you're using an AG4 stunty, you're cheating. Don't do it. If you want style marks, use something with AG3.
Yeah, absolutely. What's his plan here?
Well, Bazakistine or Bazakistine, who knows?
I just call him Bazza.
Bazza, yeah, Bazak. Has made a good point in chat, and I think that's what Morehouse went for. That there was an option there to push the ball into the touchdown, over the touchdown line, and force the Dark Elves to score for 2-1, thus leaving. That would have left 4 turns for the Orcs to get 2-2 and head to overtime, and that was a decent play, but unfortunately, it didn't work.
That was unlucky. This gives a chance for the Elves to just consolidate a bit more of a screen around that ball now.
Yeah, it's a fail that hits you twice, because not only did it fail, but of course it stunned the blitzer, giving him that little bit more freedom to stall up, that one less player to worry about. And even a part shield covering him from some angles of attack. So it was just all bad news. Sometimes when the dice run bad, they run really, really bad.
It's interesting. Well, you will be the same as me, but it's interesting when you have, and I'm not the best coach, but I think I'm a certain ability. But there are times when you really do have what seems like terrible runs in terms of dice or just decisions, and it's game after game after game.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've had some horrific runs. I think there was one time, even before the Black Box Trophy, that's seen me play some races I really didn't know in some very hostile environments. I think I had a run where I lost. Oh.
Sakes.
Now, has that left anything open? Technically, yes, but still hard to see it working.
Gritter, not those kind of runs, my friend.
Yes, Gritter's just, yes, talking about my digestive movements. Actually, the running I tend not to do is actual running. If you see me running, you should probably run too. But no, the runs we're talking about are runs of losses. And I think we've all suffered them, no matter how good or bad anyone thinks you are or they are at Blood Bowl. Sometimes the dice don't want you to win.
Have we got a blitz on from Ripper here?
Yes, but only if he can move Mr. Hero 164. So at the moment he's got a Bob doing that, but it's a strength 5 blitzer he's hitting. So it would be, at the moment it would be -2 die. So 2 die with the Dark Elf choice, and he'd need a push just to get that blitzer out of the way, and then Ripper can blitz the ball.
Maybe 1 dice, wouldn't it? 1 dice to push him out of the way. There's no guard on him.
Oh, yeah, because Ripper's offering the assist. I think you're right. It's 5v5. 1 dice. That's got to be tried.
Okay.
There we go.
This is interesting.
Pushed him out the way. Now Ripper does have a blitz. Is he going to re-roll? He has to try. It does re-roll, but he's pushed him over for the score, which I suppose was second best, actually, if he didn't get him down. Well, it gives him 3 turns to score back, and that's longer than Pete would have chosen to give him. So
Yeah,
I think we count that as a moral victory for Morehouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Pete's a man down.
a glimmer of hope. Yep, Pete's only got 10 elves. Morehouse is a troll down, but I'm not sure he's going to miss that. And the banned thrower, of course. But on the plus side, he got his blitzer back. So all 4 of his magic blitzers get to play this half. He's got the thrower that supposedly can genuinely throw the ball to get the ball downfield to them. He's got Ripper to do some hitting, and he's even got throw teammate options with the Goblin.
Well, he's got 3 turns to score, hasn't he? 3 turns to score.
Well, look, he's kept the game alive, and I think that's what everyone wanted to see happen, except PeteW.
It makes an exciting finish, doesn't it?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, just while they're setting up, just something for Gritter. Alexa, play Enya. Have you got an Alexa PC?
We do.
We've got one.
But...
So. I quite like it. It's outside at the minute, though.
Us, I don't know. I didn't think there was a problem with just streaming some music when you wanted it, either out of your own collection or from one of the many radio stations. But the children love it, and my wife forces it to play country and western music at them on a Saturday morning.
We've expanded. See, I use it for cooking. So when I'm cooking, it can set timers, get recipes from it. You can listen to the radio.
Yeah, for me, timing is probably its greatest use. In fact, yesterday, just before the game started, we took a brief pause and I forgot to turn my microphone off. And in the background, you can hear me cancelling an Alexa timer. So, not the most professional moment. My kids mainly use it for jokes.
Well, you can ask it to tell you Star Wars jokes, all sorts. Anyway, let's get back to what's important.
Other science fiction jokes are available. Okay, a high kick. But he couldn't move to it because it was right over the line of scrimmage. That means it's dropped in right behind Ripper.
Okay, let's see what happens here.
Dark Elves don't care. They can leap to any loose ball. But for the Orcs, that's a nice central position right behind some strength. So a nice little pocket naturally created, assuming he can actually pick.
Yeah, and that's it. Does he pick it up with a throw or does he go with the blitzer?
I don't think I'd go with the blitzer. That thrower hasn't got block. So unless it's throwing it that same turn, you've got to think that some sort of elf is going to arrive in and hit it.
I just wondered with the throw being so close.
Now, he's made some ground to the south with 2 players because obviously he's got to make a threat towards the line, and Orcs are slow enough that if he waits until next turn, there'll be go-for-its involved. There's a question over whether the Goblin makes a break for it as well, trying to create a distraction, trying to get itself hit and pull some dice away from the place where he really wants to go.
I think I would, because he's not going to be much use apart from getting in the way, so maybe just a diversionary tactic to get him up there just as an option.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I'd be doing with him. That line Orcs dropped in to give some cover behind where the ball is, and I think the Goblin heads forward as a distraction. And as a possible out ball, but it's incredibly unlikely. Okay, so he used a team reroll, but did get that ball scooped up in the hands.
You can't leave a ball on the ground around these elves.
No, there's way too much agility.
Excuse me.
A ball on the ground is a ball in elf's hands.
I'm sure that's a saying somewhere.
It is, I just said it.
Very good.
Who said that? I did. Okay, the orc weirdly has dropped in behind, and that orc, the goblin. So that goblin now isn't going to make it to the end zone.
So his options are.
Well, I suppose the
They're
goblin's got in
limited,
there to.
aren't
Yeah, they are a little bit in terms of his attack. I suppose the goblin went in there to prevent dark elves coming round from behind. They've got enough leap and agility that otherwise we could have seen 2 dice coming in from the rear of that ball carrier. So I guess the goblin's there to stop that. But it just removes his aggressive options. It's always that balance at this point in the game. Do you need to create aggressive options or do you need to defend the ball? Because obviously you've got to score, but you can only do that if you've still got the ball.
Yeah, exactly. It's just looking at. I was just having a bit of a reflection on the whole game, and actually both coaches have played pretty solidly. There's not really many mistakes that I can think. Oh yeah, that was a real balls up.
There's plays I wouldn't have run.
Yeah.
But I'm not as crazy about surfing stars as PeteW is. I would probably have used that turn to sweep north. But look, it worked after a fashion. It was fun. The crowd loved it. And, that's Pete's style. Plus, it reinforces in everyone's mind that if he can get you out, he's going to try. And that in itself helps him in battle.
Yeah, that was a big hit there from Pete.
That was. That was the main receiving option that Morehouse had put forward that turn. He's got one more turn to try and create some options and some movement forwards, but that was huge.
Oh, now he's really going to struggle.
Yeah, that's another blitzer down. That's yet more movement not available to him. There's one still protected a bit by Ripper and the Bob in front of it. He's going to have to get that one moving.
This is good defense from Pete.
Yeah, it's very, very solid play from Pete, and you'd expect nothing else. He's building a nice wall. Everything's covered so that anything you hit, you're still in a tackle zone. There's no free or easy routes through. And as you can see, when they're not in contact, there's always another elf in contact with them. So you've got the 3 down the south, and the one, of course, nearest the edge is a sidestepper. And then there's 2 2s. The Witch Elf behind Mr. Throwek, and Mr. Happy the Blitzer behind Mr. C990522. And if you hit the first one of either of those pairs, you then still have to dodge past the second. This is a nightmare for the Orcs to try and find a way past. Well, and as the spectators are saying, does this really mean that the TTM is coming back into play? Might we see him feel he has to go and pull the throw teammate? Certainly one way past a solid wall of elves is to go over it with the ball in hand.
True. You'd want to be moving just a little bit forwards just to get into that position.
And if he's going to do it, he's probably going to try and hand off to the goblin this turn.
It's raining.
I know, and that's why, because the more rolls you stack up for the turn where you throw the goblin, the more ways there are to use up the only reroll you'll be allowed that turn. So he's got to get Ripper in a position where it can throw it, and probably the ball in the hands of the goblin as well. That would be my target if I was going to do that. Now, that's interesting. Has he just tried to make a hole, and is he going to dodge in a northwest direction through it and just run like Forrest Gump? Well, sometimes when you need to be lucky, you've got to try something that will let you be lucky.
That's true.
And if he's not going to throw teammate, he's going to have to try and get towards the line somehow. That has just created a part of a hole. He would be dodging into one tackle zone and then straight out of it. So that would be a -1 followed by a straight dodge. He's AG4.
I always think another sound effect that we could do with is drum roll.
The problem with nice, fun sound effects is that the munchkins in chat, who, as we've discussed, just want to see blood and death and suffering, would just use it to constantly troll people. So he did go through that hole as I suggested. Now he's going to try and pull things in after it, I suppose. First of all, the goblin. Oh, I'm very surprised to see the goblin stop up that hole. But I guess he felt nothing could come through it and survive. Now he's struggling to know what to do with the thrower, because what do you do with a thrower? They're bloody useless.
Well, I think this game has proved your point in more ways than one, Peter.
What, that Morehouse was always going to lose, or that terrible players on all teams? And particularly if you've got AG4 with sure hands and move 7, you don't need one thrower, let alone 2. So, what's he going to hit it with? Now, the witch doesn't have tackle, so that's probably not going to see a frenzy hit on it.
I was wrong about pit trap, clearly.
I think he was pulling for those runes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. It just needs to.
Now, that's all the nice, fun, safe things done, I would have thought.
Yeah, and he's a sack and it's over, isn't it? Just a sack and it's over.
Well, I think he wants to come with the strength 5, because that's why he put the 2 assists in place. But that's an AG3 dodge out. I don't like that as a plan. I can't see Pete settling on it in the end. I think instead we will see the tackle wrestle take it on, because then there's all sorts of ways of putting the ball on the ground. Here we go. Well, the dodge worked. And he did get the power, but on the 4th of his 4 dice. And we're not 100% over yet, because that blitzer has moved 7 and can reach the end zone. So I guess we're still in a game situation, but if we see it get into an elf hands, then I think we call it. The fat lady starts singing, and I pour myself a beer.
Would you take the punt here, or just hold the ball?
There's no need. If you can get that ball in your hand, you drop back behind the Dark Elves, and as long as you're not in line between that blitzer and the end zone, then you're fine.
Unfortunately for Morehouse, I do think that's probably game.
Is he going to foul it with the AV6? Yes, he is. Gets her safety off the pitch and removes the only scoring threat. Well done, Pete. So she didn't even get banned, but he wouldn't have minded if she, because that way she can't get hit back, and it takes the only thing that can get over the line off the pitch. So that is definite game. Pete goes through. He's got a dead wrestle Dark Elf line person. Oh, that was a wrestle sidestep kicker, but it was already down to AG3. He's not going to miss that hugely.
I don't think
he'll be sad about the kick, but not the end of the world.
No, it's not at all. I think he's come away rather scared.
Yes, I think Morehouse would have wanted to do a bit more.
Well, thank you to listen to the commentary, everybody. If you want to stick around, we will be talking to Morehouse, hopefully.
We'll drag Morehouse in here as soon as he's had himself
a post-game analysis.
See how he feels about it. Before he gets here, what I would say is I think we saw two very good coaches coaching at a very high level, but I'm not even saying that the dice slightly favored Pete. I think the matchup did. I think from the minute they sat down, Pete was a strong favorite, and unfortunately, nothing happened that truly changed that. Pete coached solidly. He didn't have to do anything particularly brilliant or particularly creative. He has it in him, as we saw when he decided he was going to try and surf Ripper. Pete's always one with a creative thought, and so is Morehouse. Morehouse kept that alive long after most other players would have realized that they're on a hiding to nothing. But sadly, I didn't really feel that creativity told in terms of the play. I think mostly it wasn't the dice, it wasn't the coaching, it wasn't the play. Mostly it was just the teams that walked on the field.
Yeah, it was a tight. Yeah, it was a tighter game than I was expecting, to be honest.
Well, I mean, one of the things I've always flattered myself is that if I sit down to a game of Blood Bowl, the person on the other side of that is not going to get an easy game. They might beat me, they might thrash me, they might kill every player I have. All those things have happened, and way too often. But I don't think anyone sits down and thinks, it's Purple Chest, I'm going to get an easy game here.
No, I think that's right. I think that's.
And I think that's definitely true of Morehouse. I think that's definitely true of PeteW. You're not going to get an easy time versus either. They're not quitters. They're winners. They're used to winning. They're serial winners. And they'll keep pushing till the very, very last chance is dead.
And when you join a tournament and you get drawn against one of these top coaches, you do think, oh no, I'm going to bring it. I will bring it, but I'm not hopeful.
Yes. And I think those top coaches are used to, and remember, it's like, Manchester United always moaned about under the Fergie era. It means everyone brings their A game against you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've messaged Morehouse to see if he'll come over for a chat.
Now that's nice to see. The coaches have been very nice to each other in chat. Morehouse is saying that Pete played well. He played well. They're also joking about the fact that dark elf that died was named after Pete's son.
Yeah.
It's a little dark sense of humour there, but I think we
can quiz Morehouse about that. I'm sure we'll be over any second now.
Hello?
Hey,
hello,
Morehouse.
Hey, guys. Hope you enjoyed the game.
We did enjoy the game. Unlucky. It was a good game to watch.
Yeah, I hope it was fun. It was fun to play in.
So tell us, PC and I were trying to call it game play-by-play. PC called most of them correctly. There were a couple of things in there that we saw that we thought, maybe not sure. We didn't really think of any mistakes, just plays that we didn't see. So just, if you can, just run us through your thoughts of the game and how it went for you.
Sure. I'll be interested to hear what you thought afterwards, too. First drive, he kicked deep, which, sucks in the rain against a bunch of AG 5 and 6 elves. But I got the ball. Was able to move it upfield pretty quickly. I was worried, obviously, about crowd surfs, man. Like watching some of his replays, that Juggernaut AG5 leap witch is just brutal. Like that, he gets people on some crowd surfs that they do not see coming. So I was a little worried about taking up the sideline, but I thought I kind of did it in a way that he wouldn't be able to get me. And then when I saw a chance to score, I thought I better just take it before he steals the ball from me. Then on his defense,
that was pretty much, I thought, what we saw happening. When you were walling up 3 away from the sidelines, it was obvious that the witch was a huge mental factor in that game. And as you say, Pete uses it so well.
Yeah. I've watched him play. There's some people that you can kind of dare them to try it with a player like that. If you can bait him in a little bit, but Pete wasn't going to use that unless he had a really good opportunity to, and I just wasn't going to try to mess with him like that.
Well, he does love a surf.
He does love a surf.
Yes.
That was evident from surfing Ripper.
Yeah, we went for Ripper.
No, I guess that was the one time that I did bait him a little bit there and see if he would try -2 dice with a leap. There were and my thought was, which is what happened, that worst case scenario, even if he gets him out of the game, I'll be able to get a counter hit on the witch maybe, and that witch is more valuable to him than Ripper is to me, which happened. But he got the KO on AV9, and I didn't get the KO on AV6. Not that I'm bitter or anything.
No, that hit on the witch I felt was a really key play. And you could go for it. There was an easy chance for 1 die on it. You risked the Black Orc on the edge to get 2 die. Are you a big fan of risking for the 2 die? Do you think it's that much better if you're going to hit with 2 die?
Yeah, and honestly, I'll tell you what, I was really looking at that play. If you go back and watch the replay, I was really trying to find a way to do it with the Mighty Blow guy because I wanted to hit her that bad. But I had to hit the sides. The Mighty Blow guy also has grab, and there was a sidestepper there, and I'm sure Pete, orchestrated that how he wanted to give me the least chance possible. So I took the one that I thought, a tackle blocker hitting an AG6 really crucial play, or a AV6 really crucial player.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, I got to take this shot. If you get that witch out of there, the whole game is so much different because he controls the sideline so well with that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
so
it really, as you say, it defines where you can go. It defines where he can go.
Morehouse.
Morehouse.
Do you feel that the 2 missing Bobs were played a massive factor in that game?
Not really in that game. The team value of those 2 is what. Not that far off from Ripper, and he did an okay job. He made a couple plays. So if I had been playing another Bash team or something like, Malmir's Dwarves, I would have been more worried about missing the Bobs, but that wasn't the key factor. It just, team-wise, his team is just way, way better than mine. I mean, it wasn't because of the injuries, though. Even if I was at full health, that would have been true. So that didn't bother me that much.
Yeah, ultimately, that I felt was more key than the plays or the coaching or the dice. Was the teams that took the field. I felt that was the really key factor in this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. His dice were a little bit better, but he played really, really well too. So it's one of those things where if 2 players both play really, really well, and one has a better team and gets a little bit better dice, well, that's the way it goes,
Yeah, and I think it was a relatively close game, we thought. But it was fun to watch, and the crowd were, baying for blood on the fouls, and the crowd seemed into it.
Good. It was fun, like I said. I knew it was going to be a tough game going in. I never underestimate anybody, regardless of what I talk about, how I think I'm going to win, because I'm confident that I will win. But I knew this would be especially tough, looking at that team and just knowing what kind of player Pete is.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'm not all that disappointed. You can't win them all.
So one thing we were wondering during the game was about the inducements. You took 2 cards. Were you always planning to take 2, or did you get one you wanted and stop?
That was the plan, to take 2. I had thought of 2 bribes. I'm glad I didn't. Well, I guess the cards didn't do me anything either, but I didn't think I was going to get a ton of chances to foul, because D is a really good ball control team.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to give me a chance to foul without getting way out of position, and or at least foul something good. I very rarely got good players down in positions to foul, which is, of course, because he's playing well.
And also, all his good players have sidestep, and some of them never get hit, like the witch.
Yeah, yep. And just a couple weird things where I thought I might be close to something. The grab guy would get stunned, or just, I guess you always feel like that when you're on the back foot, that you just need one more little piece of help from the dice and you could do it. But that's credit to Pete. He's putting me in a position where I have to try something risky every turn. So that's good play.
Yeah, he was certainly forcing you. So just one last question before we end. How do you feel about killing Pete's son?
I will tell you, but I wanted to ask if you guys had any other thoughts. You said you had a couple things you second guessed, but if Pete is going to name his children after players and put them in the way of rampaging orcs, I think he deserves to have them murdered. That's my thought.
Yeah, so it's more dereliction of parenting rather than you being in your own.
Yes. Pete is a bad parent. I took it there.
In terms of plays, I mean, PC's probably about to talk about this than I am, but it was just in case, and it wasn't major things. It was things like, oh, maybe we're going to go north there, or putting an orc in somewhere that we probably wouldn't have put it.
Sure. Yeah, it was a really tricky game position-wise, so there was stuff on every turn. I was obviously second-guessing myself.
Yeah, and it's just, we didn't perceive them as mistakes. It was more,
No.
I maybe wouldn't have done that.
I mean, in a world of very bad choices, you can sometimes think of other bad choices.
Right, yeah. I don't think either of us really made any true errors, which is nice to say. There weren't any bad turns, I don't think, really. There were some... Go ahead.
If I had one question, I suppose right in the very end, I thought you did brilliantly to force the score and to keep those last 3 turns alive. I thought that was excellent play. It was lovely to see.
Thank you.
You were unlucky the turn before when you failed to get that to happen. And then the turn where Ripper got 3, I thought that was brilliantly done. So that was great.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
You chose to drop the goblin back and cover the ball handler. And I was thinking that was because the leap Dark Elves could have come in from round the back otherwise. But then when you did break through with the ball, the goblin sort of stopped up the hole. And I was wondering if he shouldn't perhaps have tried to get up by the ball.
I wanted him to stay close to Ripper in case I had to try to hand off to him and throw him, in case he got the ball carrier down. So if you go back and watch that, I had him marking the